My name is Marius. I'm on the Applied AI team at Anthropic. And today I want to talk to you about a blog post that we published a couple of months ago, which is called Demystifying Evals for AI Agents. It's peppered with very cool stories, customer stories, or learnings from our evals and research team. A group of our researchers was working on an eval called Core Bench. Core Bench is no longer relevant, it's being saturated, but at that time it was pretty cool. It was reproducing experiments from research papers. They're working really hard. We were launching a new model and they were still at 42% accuracy. We thought that's pretty good. You know, it's not too bad. It's a hill to climb. You know, some room for our models to get better. Until our research really dug into the transcripts of those runs and realized that the grader was very particular about the number of decimal places in the outputs. So like a 96.12 that we report was scored as failed because the grader was expecting, you know, extra few digits at the end. After we solved that, the researcher got to 96% on the eval, so a massive jump from 42 to 96, which means that, you know, the eval is solved. And that's only because somebody paid attention to the transcripts, which is a lesson that I want you all to take away. And I do have another reminder at the end. Please look at the transcripts. Read the transcripts is the best thing that you can do for your agent. I want to take a step back and understand, like, why are we talking about agent evals, right? Why are we all here? And a big reason for that is because building agents is really hard. And the longer we let these agents run, like we have customers that run their agents for, I don't know, 10 hours at a given time, the more difficult it is for us to control the quality of the agents. So there are three reasons why I think building agents is hard. First is the compounding error rate. If a given prompt and a response has a small drift, you maybe wouldn't notice, but compound that over time, over the course of 10 hours, and maybe your agent gets to a place where you haven't really intended. Number two reasons why I think building agents is hard is because of the task under specificity. And what do I mean by that? I'm a power user of Cloud Code, and I love, you know, talking to Cloud every single day, and it does, you know, 80% of my job. But when I prompt it, I think of Cloud Code as a mind reader. I just want to type in a sentence, and I want Cloud Code to just give me back, read my mind, and give me back exactly what I want in a single shot. And that is not realistic. I'm asking Cloud Code too much. I'm not giving him enough context or enough specificity for my task for it to be able to solve the thing. And if you ever push an agent in production, that's probably true with your agent as well. Your users are going to do the exact same thing that I'm doing with Cloud Code. They're going to go and type in, you know, a task and expect magic from the agent while the specifics are not well stated. Number three, why I think that the agents are hard to build is because of the unknown unknowns. If you put a text box in front of someone, they will just type in anything. If you you know, think of yourself as you know, solving the same task as the agent, you probably have some refinement about you know, any question that you're getting asked, and use your logic to decide whether you can do it or you cannot do it. But the AI models are not in that place right now, so they can confidently say they can solve the thing where they can. So you got to be very careful around guiding the users when they ask the thing that is not yet supported. All right, so now that we know that the agents are really hard to build, and we know that we have to build evals for them, there's another you know, thing that we have to worry about, which is that evals are pretty hard to build. And if they weren't, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about them, and we would just have Claude code, write me evals, and we're done. Kind of like we do with our unit tests. I remember colleagues from the past when I was writing evals, and they were asking me like, are you just writing unit tests? And I was like, it's kind of like unit tests, but it's a little bit harder. Let's see, why are agent evals so hard to build? I guess for the most part is that the outcome is very difficult to verify. And we're going to dive into this a little bit later. But if you can just think of one example, let's say I have an agent that builds produces a nice spreadsheet with tons of formulas, or a very long document that has to be consistent and well researched, that just based on the final output is going to be incredibly hard to kind of grade it and be consistent and be correct about it. It's a pretty gnarly task. Second reason for why evals are so difficult to build is that the environment, or rather the ground under you is ever shifting. You want your evals to be very easily reproducible. So in case you ever touch databases or Slack or the web, which, for the most part, if you're building a useful agent, you will do touch those external sources. You would want to kind of freeze those in time, and we're going to get to that a little bit later. That's kind of like a lift that you are kind of taking on, and it's a responsibility when you start building evals. The third thing is that unfortunately, there is no replacement for human oversight. And what I mean by that is you will still have to dig in and read the transcripts of your agent and understand what the behavior is. And this is a pretty gnarly task. If you have a long-running agent with 200, 300 loops, and you have, thousands of runs per hour of those transcripts, it's kind of humanly impossible to actually go ahead and read those. So the best thing you can do is find ways that you can scale, that you can just only look at the important thing, only sample the thing that is actually important. Here's like 2 reasons why you should actually invest in your evals and not just slap some unit tests there and call it a pass. Number 1 reason is that you would, without evals, you don't know when your agent is regressing. So if you ever hear customer complaints that the agent maybe it's a little bit dumber this morning, there's no way to tell what caused it, and there's no way to tell whether that user is actually correct, or maybe it's just a feeling that they have. And number 2 here, that's like pretty expensive, is that it's going to be very hard for you to kind of stay on the frontier of the new models, and not only models but capabilities, if you don't have a very solid eval harness. Things move pretty fast. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of moat to go around for building agents, and the best mode that you can have for your startup or for your business is being very quick to iterate and adopt the latest changes. Drawing from those 2 reasons to build evals, we can kind of put evals in 2 buckets. Number 1 are the capability evals. So these are evals that are not yet saturated. These are the evals that will give you a sign when a model drops that the model is better at your task. Maybe it knows more about your domain, or maybe it fits better with your harness. A few months ago, we launched the 4.5 family, Sonnet and Opus, and we were talking to the folks at Cognition, and they actually posted a blog post about this. They took in the model, then spent like 1 weekend with it, trying out their harness. They realized that their harness was not fit for the model, and instead of saying your model is worse than the previous one, before, because our evals are bad, they say, actually, let us look into our harness, debug it, try to come up with a better harness. And they did, and they changed the whole thing in 1 weekend, and then their agents got way, way better. There's a really cool blog post about this that I recommend to folks. So that's what it takes to be on the frontier and to stay on the frontier. And number 2 category of evals are regression evals. There's kind of like a migration from like capability to regression once you saturate. So these are the evals that will tell you, like, will give you a sign whether your agent is drifting in one direction or the other. There's kind of like an inherent reason why your evals are very kind of tailored to your product, and that's because there's like a high variance of agents that you can build. I listed 4 here, which are really different. There's coding, there's conversational, there's research, and computer use agent. And for each of these, you have to be very creative about what kind of evals to build. There's not a one-size-fits-all. There's only guidelines. That's why I encourage you to think from first principles and really understand what's meaningful for your specific agent. There are things out there in the wild that can help you get started. And those are the benchmarks that are listed in the last column here. So if you're building something with coding, maybe a good idea is to get started on the coding benchmarks. Take those, adopt them, change them, tailor them for your product. What do we actually verify when we run an eval? There are 2 things that the agent produces. One is the actual outcome, and this come in like different shapes and sizes. And 2 is the transcript. The outcome, I think it's something that we encourage people who start with agents to focus on right away. This is the most important thing because this is what your agent produces. This is what your users eventually see. Focus on this first. Get your grader of the outcome to be the best in class, and then you can migrate over to look at a transcript, which is like the behavior of the agent, all the steps that it took. My recommendation for grading the transcript is to be less rigid about it and to have this idea in mind that maybe the model and the agent is better at the task that you would think. So if you have some preconceived ideas of like, hey, these are steps 1 to 10 that my agent needs to take in order to achieve the thing, likely you would be a little bit too rigid for your agent, and your agent might surprise you. We had like a cool story that we published about our agent kind of hacking Towbench, which is a customer support agent eval or benchmark. And we realized that the eval is wrong because our agent found a loophole in their flight policy and was able to use that to refund a ticket. So be very mindful of the fact that the agent can take turns that are unexpected in order to achieve its result. But you should be all set if you're just focusing on outcome. I'm going to give you maybe like a heads up of how to think about like verifying the outcome and maybe understanding like why this is hard. The easiest thing to verify would be writing code. And if you can actually write an eval or like a grader just with code, you're lucky. You're probably, you don't need to think too much about evals if it's just a matter of like comparing 2 numbers or doing like, static analysis on code. On the other side of the spectrum is having humans looking at the outcome and grading it, which is probably the best that you can do, but unfortunately it doesn't scale and it's very expensive and slow. So what we're stuck with is the thing in the middle, which is having an LLM judge, and I think I need to update the slides there. It's actually an LLM agent that will evaluate your outcome. So in the example that I gave you about an agent that generates an Excel spreadsheet, you would have an agent that has to use tools to read that Excel, has to read the formulas, ensure a bunch of things, maybe like check a bunch of rubrics and sum things up in order to eval. But you can think that there's one problem with this, right? If you have an agent for evaluating your agent, it's problematic in the sense that the grading agent also needs an eval, right? How do you actually make sure that a grading agent is doing the right thing? So we call that calibration, and that is being done by comparing the LLM grader with human grader, every so often, whenever you can, just to make sure that those two are aligned. And the last thing that I wanted to cover is the human oversight. So we talk about this all throughout, and I do want to double down on this. You will have to look at transcripts. You will have to read thinking blocks of your agent and tool calls, but you want to make sure that you do it in a way that is very efficient. What I mean by that is investing a lot in your tooling for viewing and comparing these evals. And there's a lot of things that you can do. There's search, there's comparing screens, there's nice visualizations for your agent result. It's very, very, very easy right now to spin up a front end with Cloud Code or any other coding agent and just have the thing that is tailored for your agent and keep investing to that to make your life easier.